All right, what we're working on. This is pretty huge. It feels like everything is going to be improved. GG are listening. There's a lot of people who have complained about a lot of things. Rightfully so. I think the league mechanic has left a lot of people wanting a little bit more. By a little bit, I mean a lot. So the crafting was extremely tedious. You needed to get just all kinds of different things to fill up your graveyard essentially to make on most cases just quite average items that you could otherwise make with pretty much nothing, like with just like a fracture and some essences, and you're pretty much there already. And it was like a very tedious and lengthy process, and that was because of the fact that like you had to have massive amounts of percentage increases as well as flat rating modifiers or corpses rather to make your craft. But what they're proposing is it's really good. So what I initially thought would have been the best way to fix this would be to give like a 10 times multiplier to the values of all the crafts, right? So you wouldn't have to collect 64 corpses or whatever. But retain, all of the individual different crafts and stuff. But GG has come up with a more clever solution, which, I don't know about more clever, but just a better solution in general, where they're removing tiers from most crafts, first of all. So you will no longer find like 25 tier rating, 50 and 100, right? So it'll always be 100 tier rating. So they give an example here. For example, instead of being able to get 200% or 500% increased chance for lining modifiers, it's now always 500%, right? Which is insane. But then it's followed up with, we have taken all the crafts that affect modifier rating and compressed them into a single craft that affects all modifiers instead of being type specific. This will not affect existing crafts you have, blah, blah, blah. So that means that like all tier rating crafts, aka like, how you had like plus 100 to fire tier rating, all that stuff is now one thing. So you'll just have plus 100 tier rating, and it will be basically like for any modifier. So you'll be able to just like basically buff tier rating for any modifier. And it might in some cases be seen as sort of like a downside for things that you want to block, but it's not. It's just an upside in all situations, because increasing the tier rating will also allow you to reduce the likelihood of certain crafts appearing on your item, so long as you have increased what you want to see and reduced what you don't want to see, right? Because you're cutting off like, if you're cutting off like 90% of the lower, like everything below T2, that means that all of those things cannot appear on your item. Therefore, the likelihood of those two modifiers is less likely, assuming that you have also put reduced, chances for them to appear. And since the reduced chances for them to appear is now normalized at 500%, as well as the increase is normalized at 500%, it'll just be so much easier to craft anything. It's just going to be so much easier. Now, you'll still have to find like the individual ones, like 500% increased fire, lining, and all of that stuff. But what does this allows you, of course, like they have to have this because otherwise you wouldn't be able to craft anything, right? But what this allows you to do is it allows you to basically cut down the time or how long it takes to do a craft from, maybe like a day to maybe like an hour or something like that. So it'll be accessible to just the greater audience, and in general will be like so much less tedious than what it is now. That's insane. But another thing that they have added is you will now be able to select the base type of the item you want to craft. Like, this is just broken. It's gonna basically allow you to just, if you want to craft a spine bow, you can craft a spine bow, etc., etc. So as they describe it, as such, we are removing some of the crafts that allow you to influence strength, dexterity, intelligence, armor types, as they will no longer be necessary, since you can just freely select the base type. Note that special base types still need to be obtained through certain corpses, such as Atlas bases, League bases, and Stygian vices, which is completely normal. Like, yeah, it's totally fine, right? So nobody really expected to be able to just get like Atlas bases and Stygian vices for free. So, but of course, like those crafts will be purchasable, and that's not a problem at all. But like just the fact that you're able to pick your base is insane. You no longer have to gamble on increasing the likelihood and re-rolling the likelihood of that base being a higher tier base and all that kind of stuff. This is massive, right? Obviously, like it's can't be understated. If you want to craft weapons, you can now craft the exact weapon you want. If you want to craft armors, same thing. If you want to craft can't be understated. It's just insane. Now, it keeps going, right? Because you will be able to directly use coffins on your list of corpses in your morgue panel instead of trying to find them within the morgue. So, I mean, like, as you guys know, like, how annoying it is to walk in your morgue, you know, go through and select all that stuff. Well, now you'll just be able to basically walk up to your man, like over here, click view morgue, and then you'll just be able to use the corpses on them. So finally, like a little bit of quality of life. It's just really nice to see. Also, on top of that, you'll be able to control F them, which is like such a small thing. But when I control F now, my inputs go on. But yeah, you go and visit morgue, you control F, and but it's just really nice. Like it's yeah. You'll be able to sort crafts by tier type instead of level, making it also much easier to find crafts that affect specific type modifiers like fire modifiers and all that kind of stuff. So I assume that's gonna be like a little extra menu here on the right. It has like fire lining and all that shit, and you just like click it. And yeah, I mean, I don't know how that's gonna look. You will no longer need to, you know, pay for the coffins to also bottle them up. So like you no longer need to pay 1 chaos to bottle them up. So that's also super nice. And also it says the grave crafts that reroll sockets and links have been significantly buffed, meaning it'll hopefully be easier to get like 5-6 links and all that kind of stuff for people that don't yet have them. So allowing them to catch up a bit, I think that's really nice. I don't think there's any problem in letting people catch up at this point, so that's cool. But there's also further improvements, which are area-to-area, map-to-map gameplay, which are also massive because I think the all flames and embers and all that kind of stuff are also a little bit undertuned. There's people like fishing for them, and I hope they actually address this, because I actually mentioned this in the previous video that degeneracy would start to take over, and you'll see people basically going to their map device, opening maps over and over and over and over again until, so basically like what people are doing right now. And I called this as soon as I saw this. I called this because I myself am also degenerate, so I can understand how people think in this regard. But basically what people are doing is that they're opening it, and if it says like, you know, something good here or something bad, they would just be like, oh, it's not a divine orb, and they would just go and they just keep opening maps until they find the seer or a divine orb or something like that. I hope they address this. That's not, because like, especially since they're gonna be buffing the devoted modifiers and all that kind of stuff, like how likely they are to occur, as well as their power and all that stuff. This might become like actually a problem, and we might get into slot machine league. But I have no idea how they could actually do that. Now, if I was to propose, maybe something would be to like the devoted modifiers would show up only when you are inside of your map. Even that is kind of like a little bit sus, because you could just like walk out, but adding that little extra bit of, I hate to say it, but like adding that little extra bit of like friction would maybe hopefully dissuade people from engaging in complete degenerate behavior. But at the same time, like it will never stop, because unless it's totally random and you don't know what the modifiers are and you can't pick them, etc., people will always find a way to abuse it. So I mean, in this regard, like I think GGG is fighting a losing battle. Let's read the patch notes. Yeah, you will be able to itemize corpses as they drop. So you can choose to collect the corpse or itemize it for free. So basically, like when you find the corpse itself in a map, you just itemize it for free and you put them in your quad tap and all that kind of stuff. This alleviates a lot of the problems, such as like when you're, you know, you have like 64 slots, and it's really annoying. Well, now you can just still collect it and put it in a corpse, and that's really nice. So yeah, and it's for free, right? As opposed to the 1 chaos current cost. So that's a great change, you know. I'm definitely gonna be doing that a lot, so that I could just put it in my inventory and then bring it back home, and then just put it in my quad tab, and I'd be happy. Each of the downsides from area to area will now display the increase to amount of collectible corpses and all flame embers they cause. So as you enter a map, right, like you have the modifiers that show up. This will increase or reduce the amount of corpses that you find in that zone, but right now there is no visual feedback as to by how much and all that kind of stuff. After the patch, yeah, you're gonna be able to see, oh, this one is gonna give me a lot more corpses of this type or whatever. So it's just like a little bit of extra visual feedback, and that's really cool. We will be increasing the amount of collectible corpses and all flames dropping relative to the difficulty of mods substantially. So yeah, it's like the more difficult a modifier is going to be, the more all flames and embers are going to drop. So you're just going to be rewarded for engaging in more difficult content. which is great. And in general, I think like having more availability of all flames and embers will just be more fun for everybody, because as it is right now, I don't think many people are really going super hard on using all flames and embers, aside for like a very specific few of them. So I guess like we'll get to the point where maybe we'll have to filter some of these out. The inventory is not like massive, so but that's another problem in itself. I just think that's like a great change as well, because we'll just have more of the good ones and we can filter out the bad ones. So it's just a win-win, really. They will be adding new All Flame Ember packs that are more rewarding, meaning they're just like adding new shit mid-league. So that's really cool. That's really nice to see. We will be revisiting the rewards and pack size from existing All Flame Embers packs in endgame to make sure that it's substantially more rewarding also. Now, I already feel like the pack size and stuff like that is already pretty good, but they're increasing the pack size from All Flames, also increasing the rewards that you get from All Flames. So they're just like double dipping on the increases. They will be making the voted modifiers more rewarding, notably the ones that are granting currency items. So, you know, when you're getting like Divine Orbs, Chaos Orbs, all that kind of stuff, there's just going to be all more of that. So that's really nice. And they're also lowering the danger of more dangerous modifiers, especially in the end game. So a lot of people are struggling with some of this, some of these mobs, as well as some of the downsides, right? Like you can see, like some of them have like some really insane stuff. When you open T16 maps, they'll have like 600 crit multi, 600 crit chance and all that stuff. So yeah, they're reducing the difficulty, increasing the quality of life, increasing the rewards, making the crafting OP, and all that kind of stuff. Of course, we'll have to see when this goes live, but there's a little remark here at the end, which is really like, it feels good to see and it feels good to hear, which is there's a lot more happening between the cracks, but instead of me getting into it all, I am focusing my attention towards getting the fixes ready faster, as that's what's most important. I will update more as we are making more changes. This is just what we're immediately working on, and we'll do more as it's needed, and we have resource available. The long weekend here unfortunately cost us the capability to respond to larger changes fast as we'd like. And a huge lesson going forward is to make sure that we don't deploy expansions on public holiday, Easter, right? Public holiday weekends, as we don't have the personnel available to make the changes fast. So basically, you know, like a lot of people are like jaded at this point. They'll be like, oh, you know, they should have known or whatever. But yeah, they're like Neon is saying, they're not gonna launch on public holidays anymore because they just can't fix shit fast enough. And if there's problems, they want to commit to fixing shit. And if they can't fix shit, then people complain. And if people complain, then yeah. That's pretty much the patch notes. I think they're fantastic, and I hope they come soon, because I think we deserve it, and I think in general it's gonna make the league so much more fun. What do you guys think?